Take a deep breath, unwind, and let tonight's story bring peace. Immerse, a tale of safety. This story is about a girl named Poppy, who is guided home safely by an angel named immerse. On a small, picturesque village nestled between rolling hills and shimmering lakes, there lived a girl named Poppy. She had a smile that could light up the darkest of days and eyes that sparkled like the clearest of stars. One evening, after playing with her friends until the sun dipped below the horizon, Poppy started her walk home through the lush, moonlit forest. The forest, though beautiful, with its silver leaves and whispering trees, could be daunting at night. As Poppy walked, the shadows began to dance round her, and the gentle sounds of the forest grew louder. But Poppy felt a strange sense of calm, as if she were not alone. Suddenly, a soft golden light appeared before her, illuminating her path. From this light emerged immerse, an ethereal angel with wings that shimmered like 1,000 tiny sunbeams. "Do not be afraid," Poppy immerse spoke with a voice as soothing as a summer breeze. "I am here to ensure you reach home safely." Poppy's worries melted away, replaced by a sense of wonder and trust. Immerse gently took Poppy's hand, and together they walked through the forest. The journey that once seemed long and intimidating now felt like a magical adventure. Immerse pointed out the beauty hidden in the night, the glow of the fireflies, the soft hoof of an owl, and the delicate petals of night-blooming flowers. Poppy's fear was forgotten, replaced by marvel and curiosity. As they approached the edge of the forest, Poppy saw her cottage with its warm, welcoming lights. She turned to immerse to thank her, but the angel was already fading into the golden light. "Remember, Poppy," immerse's voice echoed gently. "You are never truly alone." Poppy nodded, her heart filled with gratitude and a newfound sense of security. She knew that the forest, and the world beyond, held no fear for her, for she was always protected and watched over. And with that, Poppy stepped into her home, ready for a peaceful night's sleep, dreaming of the wondrous adventure and the angel that ensured her safety. From that night on, Poppy never walked the moonlit paths with trepidation, for she carried with her the light of immerse's guidance in her heart. A new chapter begins to bring you peace. Dahlia and Dan, the lesson of honesty. This story is about a girl named Dahlia and an elf named Dan who discover the importance of honesty through their friendship. In a quaint little village surrounded by vast meadows and tall whispering trees, lived a kind-hearted girl named Dahlia. Every morning, Dahlia would wander into the forest, collecting fragrant wildflowers in her wicker basket and humming her favorite melodies. One fine morning, while Dahlia was gathering bluebells by the brook, she stumbled upon an ant struggling to move a large crumb of bread. Fascinated by the tiny creature's determination, she crouched down and observed quietly. The ant, sensing her presence, looked up and introduced himself as Dane, the brave forager of his colony. Dahlia, with her usual kindness, offered to help Dan carry the bread back to his anvil. Together, they made an unlikely team, and by midday, the crumb was safely in the colony's storeroom. Dan thanked Dahlia and invited her to visit the anthill anytime she wished. Over the weeks, a beautiful friendship blossomed between Dahlia and Dan. She learned about the fascinating world of ants, their diligent work ethic, and their unwavering loyalty to their colony. And in turn, was in awe of Dahlia's gentle nature and her willingness to aid those in need. One day, as they were strolling near the edge of the forest, Dahlia found a shiny, ornate necklace half buried in the soil. It appeared valuable, perhaps lost by a traveler passing through the village. Dahlia's first instinct was to take it home and keep it as her own, but Dan reminded her of the importance of honesty. What if the person who lost this necklace is desperately searching for it? He asked. Dahlia realized Dan was right. They decided to hang the necklace on a low branch by the forest path, hoping the owner would retrace their steps and find it. Days passed, and Dahlia often checked the spot to see if the necklace was still there. Then one evening, as the sun was dipping below the horizon, a frantic voice called out, "Has anyone seen a necklace? It's a priceless family heirloom." Dahlia ran towards the voice and saw an elderly woman with tears in her eyes. "I found it," Dahlia said softly, leading the woman to the necklace. The woman's face lit up with relief and gratitude as she clutched the necklace to her chest. She thanked Dahlia profusely and shared the story of how the necklace had been passed down for generations. Dahlia's heart swelled with warmth, knowing she had done the right thing. Dan, who had witnessed the entire encounter from his tiny vantage point, felt pride in his friend's honesty. That night, as Dahlia curled up in bed, she reflected on the lesson she had learned. Honesty, though sometimes challenging, always brings its own sweet rewards. She fell asleep with a smile, knowing she had made the right choice, and her dreams were filled with the adventures she would share with Dan. And thus, in the heart of the small village, echoed a story of friendship and the timeless value of honesty. Let's turn to the next chapter in tonight's adventure. Anemone and Primrose, the Garden of Memories. This story is about a girl named Anemone and her dog Primrose, who discover a forgotten garden, creating lasting memories and a timeless bond that continues even after Primrose has passed away. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between cascading hills, there lived a young girl named Anemone. Her hair shimmered in the morning sun like threads of golden sunlight, and her laughter was as melodious as the song of the nightingale. Anemone had a faithful companion, a playful dog named Primrose. Primrose had soft, white fur with brown speckles that looked like scattered petals. They were inseparable, spending their days exploring the lush green valleys and the vibrant meadows. One fine morning, as the deepest flowers glistened, Anemone and Primrose discovered an old, winding path that led into the heart of a forgotten forest. Curious and excited, they followed the trail, with Anemone imagining tales of ancient castles and mythical creatures. The forest was a symphony of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and the soft murmur of a hidden stream. They stumbled upon an old, rustic gate entwined with ivy. Pushing it open with some effort, they found themselves in an enchanting garden brimming with blooming flowers, in every color imaginable. In the center stood a towering oak tree, its branches heavy with bright, red berries. Tucked under one of the branches was a weathered bench, with a name carved into its wood that so Omar, held by Anemone and Primrose, sat on the bench, and Anemone felt a strange, comforting warmth envelop her. She ran her fingers over the carving and imagined the stories the bench could tell. Then she noticed an old journal tucked behind the bench. Opening it, she saw it was filled with sketches and entries from long ago. The entries spoke of Eleanor, a young girl who had once played in this very garden with her own faithful dog, Blossom. Anemone felt connected to Eleanor through the pages of the journal. As she read, the garden seemed to come alive with the laughter and whispered secrets of the past. Anemone and Primrose spent countless afternoons in the garden, making it their own private sanctuary. They replanted flowers, hung small, handmade wind chimes, and carved their names next to alloys on the bench. As the seasons changed, the garden flourished under their care, a testament to their friendship and the memories they were creating. Years went by and the garden continued to bloom as beautifully as it had the day they discovered it. Anemone grew up, but she never forgot the magic of the garden and the bond she shared with Primrose. Even as the primrose passed away, the garden remained a vibrant, living memory of the joy and adventures they had shared. Anemone often returned, feeling Primrose Dick's presence in every corner. The garden had become a timeless haven of memories, a place where the past and present intertwined, and where the spirit of love and companionship blossomed eternally. Let's continue with a peaceful, gentle tale. Sweet Pea and Dan, the Tale of Honor. This story is about Sweet Pea, compassionate girl, and Dan, the gentle deer, who protect their forest from hunters through unity and bravery. Once upon a time, in a lush forest, where the sun kissed the trees and the moonlight danced upon the leaves, there was a village called Blossom End. There lived a kind-hearted human girl named Sweet Pea, known for her compassionate nature and love for the woodland creatures. Sweet Pea had a special friend among the animals, a graceful deer named Dan, who was as gentle as the morning breeze. Every evening, Sweet Pea and Dan would meet by the ancient oak tree and share stories of their day. One day, a great challenge came upon the forest. Hunters from a distant land arrived, seeking to capture the forest's mystical animals. The forest dwellers were scared and uncertain of how to protect themselves. Sweet Pea, hearing of the danger, vowed to defend the forest and safeguard her friends. She consulted with Dan, knowing that the wise deer would have a plan. Dan suggested they seek the help of the great owl, the oldest and wisest creature in the forest. It was said that the great owl possessed knowledge of all things and could provide guidance. Following Dan's advice, Sweet Pea and the deer journeyed through the dense woods to find the great owl. After a long trek, they reached the ancient tree where the great owl resided. The owl, with its vast wings and knowing eyes, listened to their plight. The great owl told Sweet Pea and Dan that true honor comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves, and the only way to save the forest was through unity and bravery. Inspired by the owl's words, Sweet Pea and Dan returned to Blossom End and rallied all the animals. They devised a plan to work together and create a protective barrier around the forest. One night, as the hunters approached, they were met with an impenetrable wall of unity forged by the courage and determination of the forest creatures. Sweet Pea stood at the edge of the barrier alongside Dan, their hearts beating as one, determined to protect their home. The hunters, bewildered by the sight, were unable to penetrate the barrier and eventually left the forest. The woodland creatures cheered, grateful for the bravery and leadership of Sweet Pea and Dan. From that day forward, the forest remained a sanctuary of peace and harmony. Sweet Pea and Dan became symbols of honor, teaching others that true honor is not in fighting for oneself, but in standing together to protect and cherish the vulnerable. And so every night under the twinkling stars, Sweet Pea and Dan would sit by the ancient oak tree, their bond stronger than ever, knowing that they had done the right thing. And the forest always remembered their tale of honor. Good night, and may your sleep be deep and calm.